Hi, my name is Nicola Chapman, and I'm the manager of the Wildlife and Environmental Law team. And today I'd like to give you a brief presentation on wildlife law, biodiversity, and international partner support. The Tree of Life programme has its own dedicated wildlife team, and I'm proud to say that within that team we have a combined experience of over 35 years in wildlife conservation and wildlife law. We provide advice on the legal and ethical collection, movement, and possession of wildlife samples. This is a picture of a woolly mammoth. It's been extinct for some time now. So what do you think would happen if the Wildlife Environmental Law team was around at the same time as woolly mammoth? The team provides specialist advice, particularly on samples collected from the wild. Samples collected from the wild are protected by a range of wildlife laws. These span across UK, European, and international legislation. They're broad and complex. For example, the UK has over 7 wildlife laws relating to species. Some species are protected by one law, some species are protected by multiple laws, and some species, such as deer and seals, have their own dedicated law. The key take-home point, though, here is those wildlife legislations provide the same full protection to a strand of DNA or tissue as if it was a whole species. And the same is true for import legislation. Okay, so what work does the wildlife team undertake? Well, it provides support, advice, and guidance on samples taken from the wild. It also provides this support from samples from museum collections, cultures, veterinary samples, and strandings. Exactly wherever you take a sample or how, we can provide advice. Also, when do we provide that advice? We can provide that advice from the beginning, before you take samples in the field, to the point which the samples leave your organisation and come into the programme. We also work with wildlife agencies in the UK and the import agencies. We work within the law to facilitate the processes to enable you to bring the samples into the programme more quickly. We also keep abreast of all sorts of legislations, UK and international. And we're aware of the changes in these legislations, so our advice to you is relevant and accurate. For example, Brexit causes change to wildlife legislations. There's changes to wildlife legislations currently undergoing in the UK. And we also keep abreast of what's happening on the global platforms. So what will this be? So if there's outbreaks of wildlife disease, such as avian flu, or there's civil war, then these factors can impact the ability to bring the samples into the UK. The team also has specialist knowledge, so it can feed into organisation level biodiversity initiative. And this is a picture of Sanger and its wetlands. We also can provide partners with specialist biodiversity. We also provide specialist information to Sanger at an organisation level. And we can provide partners with specialist information regarding their biodiversity projects. So this slide gives a flavour of the types of information and specialist advice the wildlife team can provide. This first picture is of a bat. A bat is protected by UK and European legislation. Overseas, bats are also protected by international legislation. However, focusing on the UK, it's illegal to harm or injure or kill a bat. And therefore, if you take samples from a bat, you need specialist licenses. The UK laws also have complex legislation covering the home of bats, which are known as roosts. It's illegal to disturb a bat in its roost or a group of bats. It's also illegal to damage or obstruct that roost. And more complex, it's irrelevant if the bat's there or not. It's still illegal to damage that roost. The team also has to be aware of what species that carry disease, which could be then harmful to bringing the sample to the UK, harmful to human health or wildlife health. The team also provides specialist information and support to partners regarding the correct import licence, which depends on the species and also the country of origin. So why is our work important? We're here to protect biodiversity. Not only do we enforce the law of wildlife legislation, Sang has its own internal due diligence, for example, the sample code of practice. Infringements of wildlife legislation have severe consequences and can result in imprisonment. So who becomes imprisoned? Well, the person who becomes imprisoned is the person who signs either the wildlife licence or the import licence. So you may want to check if your name's on that paperwork. Okay, in the UK, there's certain financial penalties associated with breaking wildlife laws, and they're on the increase to act as a further deterrent. Samples coming in from overseas can become destroyed or confiscated at customs. This is something we want to avoid. Also, we protect from reputational harm. This is a photograph of Henrietta Lacks. Her samples were taken without permission, and it caused a huge backlash in reputation. So, we're really here to help if any questions regarding sample collection or movement. And these pictures here really emphasize that. You wouldn't go sampling into a wood or the marine environment without knowing your way to the sample site. So please do contact us. We're here to help. So what team done so far? Well, we've provided advice on over 5,000 species and supported those partners to bring their samples into the programme. This slide here provides an overview of the advice we've been given on marine examples. So, and I've put them to scale. The top left-hand corner, we have the smallest, and that's a Symbiodinium, algae that lives in coral and provides it with food. It's followed by sponge, a commercial fish, giant clam, deep sea tube worms, and the bottlenose whale. And that is just under 9 meters in length. So we go from 10 microns to 10 meters. Okay, so after the programme has undertaken genetic analysis, how does that feed into and support biodiversity and conservation? Well, here's an example. The pearl-bordered fritillary is a butterfly that disappeared from many parts of the UK. However, now it's been genetically analysed, this helps provide scientists with information so they can support reintroduction programmes and use non-invasive techniques to monitor the populations. Another example is Atlantic horse mackerel. This species is a commercial stock which is subject to overfishing. Again, this species is being genetically analysed. And going forward, we're using eDNA to analyse population levels and the interactions with other fish. And this will feed into the sustainable stock management. So this penultimate slide is a quote from Charles Darwin. And in essence, he said, from a simple common ancestor, life has evolved to this wonderful and diverse forms. And this is really what the Tree of Life is about. So thank you for listening. We'd love to hear from you. And here's some information on how to get in contact. Thank you very much.